We have had a magnificent evening here at Mill Farm. It's finished AFC FYLDE 0, Altrincham 5 in front of the DAZN TV cameras. And we've got Phil Parkinson with us. Phil, just about the perfect performance.
Yeah, you summed it up brilliantly, as you always do. We asked for our forwards to start converting the chances that we're creating for them. They have, and that's the outcome. You get wins then.
AFC FYLDE conceded 31 goals in the league this season, so you knew they were vulnerable, and you clearly had a very good plan to deal with that. But the way that you exposed them in their sort of right back channel down our left in the first half, it couldn't have worked better.
No, and I feel like a broken record because I'm saying the same things. We approach every game exactly the same. There might be a little change in personnel to counter their strengths, but we certainly try and have the same objectives every game. I'm sure most managers will almost be able to guess our lineups, our approach, the way we play. But that's what we do. We're consistent with it. And if you do it really well, they're the end results. We've done it here for years. And I said to people, as soon as the forwards start scoring, we'll start winning games. And that's what you've seen today.
Regan Linney opened the scoring as he did here last season, scored the first goal in a 6-goal thriller, and everyone will talk about the finish, which was magnificent, but the ball from Tom Crawford that set it up to Alex Newby, and then Newby's ball that split the defence, superb.
Brilliant. I mean, Regan could have backed himself and gone against Harry Davis there because it would have been a mismatch in a foot race, but what he's done, and we're encouraging it all the time. Even last season when people won't believe me because it would have been look for Chris, but it wasn't. It was, can you find your mate who's in a better position? It's not difficult football. We make it difficult at times because we're selfish with a play, but there's a really selfless pass from Noobs, like you said, Tom, and then Regan making the running behind makes it an easy pass for Alex to execute, and that's the outcome.
The second goal, again, some really good approach play, simple ball to Regan, and he's got the confidence, and a similar finish to the first one, but once again, perfect.
Yeah, and we all know that's what he's capable of, don't we? And the worry for me is Regan keeps playing like that. The January wind is getting very close, isn't it? And I'm very aware that he's at the stage in his career where if he's scoring lots of goals, he's going to get attention. We always knew he would. And he's got to continue that now because as much as I want him to stay here forever, I also want him to fulfil his dreams of playing in the Football League. So if he keeps scoring goals, he'll help us and hopefully one day help himself.
The third goal started that we were under pressure. Fantastic tackle. I think it was from Tom Crawford inside our own area. And we've broken 2-on-2. And then Lewis Banks has made a magnificent run to give them something else to think about. But again, the running off the ball, the movement and the finish, perfect.
Yeah, well, listen, that's Neil Sorvell spends hours and hours with the patterns of play, and it's great to see them coming off because it's not just Lewis deciding that he's going to go for a run. That's hours on the training pitch of seeing that scenario, making sure that he's making that unselfish run to take players away. Then can we find the key passes? And that's what we did today. We were clinical in everything we did.
You spoke on Wednesday in your interview with George Allen about looking for players to step up, and you can see it happening game on game now. Obviously Regan Linney, but Alex Newby, we've seen a massive improvement in him, and he looks a little bit more settled in the role he's playing just now.
Yeah, he's got to grow into it, hasn't he? And we, like I said, we all want it now, don't we? And we said right at the start, myself and when I was speaking to you, we were going to suffer a little bit until we found a rhythm, found a feet. And listen, I'm not saying we've cracked it now because we've had one of them games where we've played how we play, but we finished teams off. That's going to be pivotal for us. We've got to make sure lads are doing everything they can, which they always work hard. This group works hard, but they've got to play with a freedom. They've got to be able to express themselves, and they've got to play to the full potential. And certainly that's what our front line did. And the other lads give them the platform to be able to do that, because if Ethan, the back four, the midfield don't have the discipline that they do, we can't build the ball up to the pitch to allow them to make them runs and to get in behind and really hurt teams. And it was great to see. I mean, I know you're probably touching it, but before I forget the substitutes who come on as well, Joe's nearly scored with his first header of the ball. He's nearly put, he probably should have put Matty Koslow in, who was in 1v1 with the keeper. So the impact that the subs have made as well. He's Elliot Osborne, his Barron spell. He's over getting that goal. He's been telling me for months that he can score, and I knew he could from his Nantwich days, but he's played a deeper role now. I'm really, really pleased for Elliot because he's a brilliant player for us, and he gets a bit of stick for the lads for not scoring, so it's great that he's got his goal today.
Yeah, I can remember in the 6-1 victory over York last season, I think the only save the keeper did make was from Elliott when it was 5 or 6-1, and I think the lads were saying they were quite pleased about that. He got a bit of jip.
Yeah, he's a big personality, and I'm really pleased for him.
So, 2-week break now, which I'm guessing that's the last thing we want.
It is, but it would have been really hard to take if we were on the wrong end of results. So if we would have come here and lost after a draw, it would have felt like the end of the world. So it was important that we finished on a high, a bit like an international break, isn't it? You don't want to go into that 2-week period waiting for the next game. So we've got a bounce game coming up on Tuesday against Preston. They're brilliant for getting minutes in lads' legs. Hopefully we come out of that unscathed, but we need it for the lads who need to catch up and keep the lads ticking over. And then we'll have a real intense second week, tapering off to the end to get ready for the next game.
And all of a sudden, you can see a side that is very recognisable as an Altrincham Football Club side, a Phil Parkinson and Neil Sauville side.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. We've worked really hard to form that identity of a football club. I think it can be forgotten in this division at times because people obsess over some of the other teams because we're not at the top of the table, but we've had a really definitive way of playing for a long, long time. And when we get results like we have today, it sort of allows me to emphasise what we are, who we are, why we try and do what we do. Get people to understand why at times we can't always score, we can't always create, but we have a way of playing. If we deviate away from that, if we go in a different direction, I call it mission drift, we'll forget who we are. And there's a reason we got back to this division, there's a reason we've stayed in it, there's a reason we've been successful in it. It's because of the players we recruit to play the style of play we do, and it works. And it's not always going to be our day because we're in a really tough division, but today was.
Yeah, and you predicted what has happened. You predicted would happen at the start of the season, that we would improve as the season progressed, and we hark back to it on a number of occasions. But back in the season, we got promoted. We were 17th in November. We had games in hand, but we were still 17th, and yet we produced a promotion-winning run.
Yeah, it's a long, long season, and people get really edgy. I know people will have been calling from ahead, which I can't believe because I've been here so long and I've said the same things, but the club understand what we're trying to achieve. The vast majority of fans understand what we're trying to achieve. We're not the biggest club in the division. We don't have the biggest budget. Hey, we have a healthy budget now, but we don't have the biggest budget. We don't have the biggest following, but we have a strong following. I tell you what, I was so proud of them today. They turned up in the numbers. I asked for an atmosphere at home. We've also got it away, and I know we've played well, but I feel that we've been playing well enough to gather that momentum, and momentum's a key word. Just keep it going. Obviously this break isn't great for us, and we've got 2 really tough fixtures coming up, Solihull and who's the other one, Southend. So this one with them 2 is always going to be really tough for us, but we'll prepare as well as we can. Just stick with us. Even if there was 10 games to go, there's so many points to play for, and we'll be absolutely fine. And we're getting things right, and we get the players back on the pitch, and we get them positive and playing that way. We'll do well in this league.
Yeah, just talking about the fans, great support today, and just harping back to the FA Cup exit to Solihull, they were magnificent that night. And despite the fact we went out of the cup that night, something positive happened.
Yeah, absolutely, because that is true connection, isn't it? In its finest form, where people can see you've give everything on the pitch. As I've said all the way through, anyone who watches football every week, especially at our level of football, are no idiots, no fools. They come, you can't masquerade things. They can see when teams are putting everything in. They can see when it's not your day. And I don't think we've had many of them. I think there's been a bit of misfortune at time, individual error, but I don't think as a team we've let this football club down. Are we steamrolling the league? No. Are we capable of days like today? Yes. So there's one of them that people have said. We had loads of them last year. We had 3 of them. So there's one back to us, and pulls that goal difference back in line from the Sutton game. So I've reminded the lads of that, so we don't get too carried away, and we won't. We'll be consistent with everything that we do, and that's a promise that the fans will get from me. There won't be any inconsistencies, any sort of sitting back and thinking we've got it cracked. We'll be working extremely hard going into the next run of fixtures.